The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well out there. Happy Wednesday. And it does appear that every single time we do a radio show, there's always a bunch of breaking news that is happening either during or right before we hit the airwaves, and we will be covering it all for you. Brooklyn Dad Defiant's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes, and obviously there's a lot that we are going to talk about today and a lot that we are going to be getting to today. And a lot of audio that we're going to be playing for you. Of course, the ongoing saga now, the Trump administration claiming that they could be using military force to take over Greenland. We're going to be talking about that. Caroline Leavitt in her press conference today using the word dictate. That's why Donald Trump is now officially a dictator. We'll get into that. Dictating what happens in Venezuela. We are certainly going to be talking about that as well. And of course, I will be joined in just a few minutes here by Leonard Cardinal, co-hosting with me today, and I did not think that we would be starting the show and talking about this right off the bat, but here we are. I told you guys that when you have these people, these agents all over the country, some of whom are not identifying themselves as ICE agents, that people are going to be murdered, people are going to be killed. And unfortunately, it has happened today, in my personal opinion, and the mayor and many others that are not partisan when it comes to this issue. I've seen the video. An innocent woman was murdered today by ICE agents. And when I watch the video over and over again, everybody on the right is calling it domestic terrorism 5 minutes into it with no investigation. I've seen the video myself. I've seen the tires that were moving. I saw the entire video over and over and over again. In no way, shape, or form were any of those officers in harm's way. The vehicle was turning away from the officers, and that's when one officer takes out his gun and shoots her and kills her. This is murder. Make no mistake about it. But Kristi Noem is calling it domestic terrorism, and Donald Trump's DOJ, I guarantee you, will not be pressing charges. It is sick. It is disgusting. It is murder. And to talk to us a little bit about this, and obviously a lot of other topics, because I did not think we'd be starting with this, somebody who I love following on social media. I just think he's awesome, and he does such a great job, his podcast, and one of my favorite follows for years on social media, the man himself, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, joining us right now on the program. Thank you so much for joining us once again. I wish it was under better circumstances, but it's good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Thank you for having me here, Brian. And yeah, I agree with you. I've been watching in horror the same as you have, and I agree with what you just said wholeheartedly. I think Kristi Noem is a joke. If you remember what she did with Senator Alex Padilla, she also assumed he was a terrorist. Come on now.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah. And I watched the video, and I find it interesting. First of all, they take her body out of the car immediately after, and you know, I'm assuming they tried to save her life, but I'm watching it, and what was she doing? Was she blocking ICE agents? Sure, I don't condone that. Was she driving away from law enforcement? Sure, I don't condone that, but you can't use deadly force unless you feel like your life is in harm's way. One of the officers continues to shoot in the vehicle when he's on the side of the vehicle and the tires are completely turned. How is that? You know, how could they say that's domestic terrorism? And no investigation. Kristi Noem just immediately starts the narrative of this is a domestic terrorist.
Yeah, I watched the video myself probably about 5 times, and I watched it unfold slowly. I watched the guy point his gun directly at her. I saw the tires turn away from him. I saw the car moving away from him. So to say she was trying to hurt, everybody knows. If you look at the video and you can separate your brain from your party and be honest, you know she wasn't trying to kill. It did look like she was trying to get away from the scene. And why wouldn't you? Like, these guys are pointing lethal force at you. So yeah, of course.
Yeah. And, what's really sad about this is, in my opinion, is that no charges will be filed on this officer or officers. It's their job to de-escalate. Obviously, that didn't happen here. And they will claim, or the officer who fired his weapon will claim, yeah, I felt like my life was in danger. And I could almost guarantee you there won't be any charges filed on this officer. And it's really sad because now this woman is dead. She certainly wasn't threatening the lives of anybody. As you said, she was just trying to get out of there. Yes. What does it say about this Justice Department when literally there's no investigation 5 minutes after the shooting, and you have Kristi Noem out there already saying that this is domestic terrorism?
I'll say that what we saw today is a reflection or a manifestation of what the Trump regime's overall philosophy is, that might makes right. And I say that, because originally I was planning on doing my, I have an episode of Storytime with BDD coming out later today. And I was planning on leading with the whole Venezuela thing, because, they're all banging this drum like this is our hemisphere and we say what goes. And that whole thing is playing out in real time with these poorly trained, unhinged, unprofessional, and unfit ICE agents. So it looks like I've lost you there for a minute, my friend.
I'm still here. We're getting it back. This is every day on my show that something happens with the camera. But yeah, we're I still hear you, my friend. Keep going. I hear you.
Yeah. So I was saying that this is a manifestation of might makes right, and obviously it doesn't. And there are real consequences. They're like life or death consequences when you approach when you are a hammer and you approach every situation like you're looking for a nail.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we'll see how this plays out. But it's amazing how divided we are, too, as a country, right? I see the Benny Johnsons of the world and so many of the same right-wing grifters that immediately are saying this is a domestic terrorist. But yet if there's video of you beating a police officer on January 6th, somehow that makes you a patriot and a hostage. And I know yesterday, Brooklyn Dad, we just had, of course, the 5-year anniversary of Jan 6th. And that's the narrative from these people on the right. It's sick to me. If you're on video beating a cop and you're white, you're a hero, you're a hostage, you're a patriot. If you're in a vehicle and you're a protesting ICE, and if you're shot and killed, somehow you're a domestic terrorist. But we should be honoring the life of Ashley Babbitt. I'm sick of these people, Brooklyn Dad. I'm sick of them.
Well, what's interesting is that the victim is a 37-year-old white woman today who was shot. So if this was a Somalian woman, I think I think they'd be ready to move on. But it's a white woman, and that definitely changes the stakes a bit, because what kind of immigration enforcement were you trying to do with the U.S. citizen? Why are you brandishing a gun in her face? Look, there are plenty of times I've seen plenty of people not only block traffic. I've seen a guy. And I'm sure you've seen these videos too on like TikTok and YouTube, where a guy will taunt cops and run away from him, and they tase him, and the taser doesn't work. And these guys, they leave the situation unharmed. They're carefully put into a police car and taken away. There's absolutely zero reason this woman should have been shot. I don't care what you call it. She was not, it definitely was not domestic terrorism. If you have eyes in your head and you've seen this video, that wasn't domestic terrorism. It was a scared woman trying to get away.
Yeah,
simple as that.
No doubt. I completely agree. And it's interesting. You talk about Somalians, and we talk about what's been taking place here in Minnesota when it comes to that and the Nick Shirleys of the world. I have yet to find any evidence that Nick Shirley allegedly uncovered that shows any fraud. There were already people that have visited all of these facilities, some of which were closed. They haven't found any evidence of fraud, but yet they're knocking on these doors of these Somalians day by day, these wannabe Nick Shirleys. I find it repulsive. I find it embarrassing. And I believe it has just about everything to do with the color of these people's skin. That's what I believe.
I've watched your videos about this, and I applaud you for the work you've been doing, and how you've been dragging Nick Shirley, rightfully dragging him, because he's a clown out of the James O'Keefe Project Veritas School of Bullshit. Oh, can I curse?
No, you can't, but that's okay. We have a delay. Go ahead. You're good. You're good. Go ahead.
School of BS.
Yeah. There you go.
Journalism. Yeah. It was not it wasn't a scoop. It wasn't like a big, expose. This is stuff. These are stories these are fraud cases that were already unfolding. But the problem is that the president of the United States has weaponized rhetoric against the Somalian community. He has called them garbage. And this isn't just like an all of a sudden thing. This is a drum he's been banging all along about the S-hole countries and stuff like that. So he's found a scapegoat for his racism, for his animosity, and the right wing has picked it up and run with it. And the only reason Nick Shirley's video went so viral was because they astroturfed the heck out of him with Elon Musk and JD Vance and a whole lot of heavy-hitting right-wing accounts, which, by the way, right-wing accounts are already being artificially boosted on the platform. So yeah, that's why Nick Shirley's story became a thing, because they wanted it to, and they're controlling the means of distribution.
Yeah, I again completely agree with you. Thank you for those kind words. I'm going to continue to be on Nick Shirley. By the way, a guy, as I call him, Satire Shirley, who went over to Ukraine during this war and made satire videos thinking that this was funny, that innocent people, women, including women and children, have been murdered because of Vladimir Putin invading that country. It's sick. It's sick what these people are doing. And JD Vance calls him this incredible journalist, want to give him the Peace Prize. It's just sickening. And I haven't even begun to talk to you yet about Venezuela and the fact that Caroline Leavitt in a press conference stage used the word dictate. This is why we call Donald Trump, who is now a dictator. I'm not calling him a wannabe dictator anymore. Donald Trump is now dictating what happens in an entire country in Venezuela. He is a dictator, and they're talking about really what this whole thing is about, which is about stealing their oil. And over 100 people have died. They don't want to talk about that. He is now a dictator, Brooklyn Dad. Am I wrong in saying that he is now a dictator?
No, every time I've posted that General Milley video, which I love, by the way, where he says, "We do not swear an oath to a dictator, to a king, to a dictator, or to a wannabe dictator." When he says wannabe dictator, we all know who he is talking about. And I find it hilarious. Have you noticed on your posts people reply, Trump trolls replying to you saying, oh, I guess you guys love dictators now. And look, guys, we don't love dictators. You know what? That Maduro, we couldn't care less about the guy, right. Good riddance to him, right? But we thought, first of all, you guys were against these regime change wars, and about nation building, and about the forever wars and all that stuff. Who are we to go into a sovereign nation, drop a bunch of bombs, kill over 100 people for what they called a law enforcement operation? You killed 100 people in a law enforcement operation? That is a failure. That is an abject failure. Brooklyn, and if you're calling it anything else, but you saying that you are now going to run Venezuela, a whole nother country, when you can't even run the country that you're running right now. Like, I've got a plate full of food in front of me, but I want your plate full of food too. I can't even finish this food, but I want your food also.
That's a very good analogy. I almost said identical to what you've said over the last couple of days, in that he can't even run this country. He wants to run another country. And you're calling this a law enforcement, activity. Can you name me one that's happened here in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, where over 100 people died? It's pretty
crazy.
Sick. It is crazy. This is not about the Venezuelan people. This is not about Maduro. This is not about drugs. quite simply, it's just about oil and Donald Trump enriching his billionaire donors. That's really it. Maybe 10% of it is Machado and, trying to get the Peace Prize here. Maybe that's 10% of it is ego, but this is about money.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you find it strange, by the way, that there was absolutely no defense put up against this invasion at all? What? That's just wild to me that a country that they must have some kind of air defense system and some military, every country's got a military. It's weird that there wasn't even nobody raised a hand to oppose this. They just
You're right. That's something I didn't even think about. You're right about that. And now they're not ruling out boots on the ground and invading Greenland. I mean, what type of times are we living in right now, Brooklyn Dad? I mean, this is insane.
I want to say I was watching Lawrence O'Donnell last night, and he was saying, look, that the Greenland thing is a distraction, and I hope that he's right, because if we put boots on the ground, if we go in with our military on Greenland, then that's the end of NATO, because obviously the NATO nations have to stand up against us, which is such an absurd thing that we're going to instigate that kind of conflict. These are bizarre, crazy times, and all I see is Donald Trump trying to stuff his pockets with as much cash, with as much riches as possible. I don't really think he cares about helping Americans. We have food lines that are growing. We have people who are struggling they have to choose between paying their bills or going to the doctor. And we haven't even gotten into the whole healthcare crisis that is upon us right now. And you're nation building in Venezuela? What?
Crazy. I got to tell you, you're right. And I got to tell you, Brooklyn Dad, I've been saying for a long time that Donald Trump is a wannabe dictator. He's a wannabe Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un type. I'm not saying that anymore. There is no wannabe anymore. This man is now officially a dictator. And I know a lot of people would say, well, Brian, he's been a dictator for a long time. You're probably right. But I'm no longer calling him a wannabe dictator. He is dictator Donald Trump. He's dictating what's happening in Venezuela. He wants to take over these other countries with no legal ground to do so. It's sick. Brooklyn Dad, before I let you go ahead.
Wait. Did you see the absurdity where he told Iran, if you want to hurt your protesters, we're going to go in there and do something to you. And I'm like, come on, man. This is the guy who wanted to shoot us in the legs for protesting.
That's true. That's
crazy times.
That's true. That's a really good point too. And there's so much to remember. Sometimes it's easily forgotten, but you're right. He wanted law enforcement to shoot peaceful protesters in the legs in DC. Just absolutely sick. Brooklyn Dad, before I let you go, and it's always a pleasure having you on. I love your commentary. Love what you do. Can you give out that information, how people can listen to your podcast and follow you on social media, even though you have about a gazillion followers more than I have? But go ahead.
Well, I'm on Substack at Defiant Dispatches. Every week I put out a fantastic article, and this week's article is asking the question, do our leaders have the imagination to deal with Trump? Right? So that's at Defiant Dispatches on Substack. And on YouTube is my weekly show, Storytime with BDD, which starting next week is turning into the Defiant Weekly.
I love it. I got to do your show one of these days. I got to get on there one of these days, man.
We're going to make it happen. Absolutely. I got you. You got your details. We will make it happen this month.
I love it. Brooklyn Dad, I so love what you do. We need more people like you out there. Please keep up the great work. I love you, pal. And when you're in Vegas, you got to let me know. All right.
Vegas?
When you're in Vegas, you got to let me know. Yep.
Will do. Absolutely.
All right, Brooklyn Dad Defiant. Thank you for your time, my friend. As always, you have a good rest of your week.
You too, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Take care. There you go, everybody. Brooklyn Dad Defiant, another person that I am fortunate enough to know. I love his work. Great guy. Very intelligent. Love what he does. And we appreciate him taking the time to join us. From one brilliant guy to another one, let's introduce my co-host who's been sitting here patiently. Of course, I'm talking about Leonard Cardinale. longtime lieutenant, longtime police officer here. And I wish we didn't have to talk about this subject, but I am glad, Leonard, that I have you in studio today. First of all, thank you for being here.
Hey, I appreciate being here, Brian. There's a lot going on. And
there is.
As you may or may not know, I was a use of force instructor. I did teach some criminal law, some federal law, and some state law that was relevant to use of force also.
So I want to ask you, obviously, about the video that you saw. Let me just give my quick opinions on it.
Sure.
And then I want to get your professional take on this. As I'm driving into work today, I'm getting ready to play audio, which we will play. Caroline Levette's press conference earlier today, which was off the rails crazy. I wanted to get your thoughts on that and some more fallout in Minnesota in regards to this alleged fraud. But as I'm driving into work today, I go to my Twitter page and I see this horrific tragedy where, in my estimation, an innocent 37-year-old woman is now dead. What she was doing, committing a misdemeanor, blocking traffic, wasn't risking anybody's lives. And then all of a sudden, an ICE agent approaches her and she attempts to drive away. And then a second officer approaches and you can see her tires turning. She is trying to get away. I've watched the video 10 times. This was murder. And the officer takes out his gun and shoots her multiple times, shoots her dead. She was not trying to harm any officers. She was clearly trying to get away. And at no point did her car make contact with any officers. In my estimation, looking at the video, it wasn't directly headed towards any of these officers. And within minutes after this shooting, Kristi Noem holds a press conference and says this is a domestic terrorist with no investigation, nothing. Leonard, I am pissed off. You and I both have said this on the air, that this was going to happen, that people were going to die. These are officers that are not trained, and they're supposed to de-escalate. I want to let you take over the conversation from here, but that's my take on this. I am pissed off, and good for the mayor telling them to get the F out of our city, get the F out of our state. And the mayor clearly speaking that this woman was not using her vehicle trying to harm DHS officials. What do you say to this?
Well, thank you. We can, we'll break down what actually happened in Minneapolis. But what I wanted to say is in a general sense, a police officer cannot be the one to escalate the use of force. What do I mean by that? In other words, the officer can't stand in front of a rushing vehicle and then shoot the person and then jump out of the way. We're not taught in any way, shape, or form to ever stand in front of vehicles to try to block them. We use vehicles. We have certain strips that, flatten the tires, but you're supposed to approach a vehicle from the rear, from the back rear, go to the window. And if you notice, one of the first things they did was the ICE agent walked up and tried to open her door.
I saw that too.
And his hand slipped off, probably because it was locked.
Yep.
And then she backed up and started to go forward and turned her wheels. And my question is this. My question is, if you can get out of the way, were you in danger? If you can move out of the way, because he took a step to the right as he fired. It looked like the first round possibly went straight into the windshield. And then the second round, from what I've seen from the video, was another round into the driver's side window as the vehicle went by, and then the vehicle crashes. And my question is, we are taught positioning ad nauseum in the police academy, in-field training. We're told where to stand. We're told how to stand, how to approach vehicles. And I can tell you, in my 25 years in law enforcement, and I retired as a lieutenant, so I have to analyze uses of force. That was my job, to analyze the officer's use of force and give recommendations. And if I had an officer that stood in front of the vehicle, the first thing I'd have to ask is, why were you standing in front of a 4,000 or 5,000 pound vehicle? And so when you start to look at the video and you question whether or not he was in danger, that's really going to be the question. The question is, was he in danger? So when you're looking at deadly force, we can use deadly force if there's 4 criteria: the ability to cause serious harm or death, the opportunity, and then we have imminent jeopardy, which means it has to be right here, right now, no like a few seconds from now or a few minutes. And then preclusion. What does preclusion mean? Preclusion means that you have precluded in your mind and in your actions whether or not this use of force could have been avoided. If you go in a house and there's an opportunity to get out of the house because there's danger in a residence and you were called there, and it's better to back out of the house and create a perimeter and then try to take the situation from there instead of increasing the likelihood of a deadly shooting, you're supposed to at least take that into consideration. So when Kristi Noem comes on the air and she says, we looked at it, it was domestic terrorism, they weaponized the vehicle, the officer shot for their safety and the safety of others, and it looks like it was a good shoot. Well, I've been part of some of these investigations, and they take months sometimes, if not years. Well, you have to collect evidence. You got to talk to witnesses.
Of course, you're speaking obviosities from a non-biased perspective. And let me also be very clear on this. If I thought that this was justified, and if I thought that that woman was trying to harm an officer, then I wouldn't be saying what I'm saying today. And I don't justify trying to run away from officers in any way, shape, or form. I would imagine that this woman was very scared, which I understand. And I don't want to put myself in her shoes. She did not deserve to die. She was murdered. And now there are going to be protests in Minnesota. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like what took place with the Kyle Rittenhouse.
We'll see tonight.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be protests, and it's going to get bad.
Well, if you watch, I was just watching CNN a little bit, and they're pushing ICE back. They're throwing snowballs at them. They're marching on them, and ICE is getting in the vehicles. And as we speak, is being pushed back because there's too many people in the public. And what are they going to do, Brian? They're going to shoot more people. And by the way, you can't use deadly force in any jurisdiction and anywhere in the United States to enforce a misdemeanor. And blocking the road is a traffic violation. It's a misdemeanor.
For you right-wing SOBs,
let them call in if they want to say
something. For you right-wing SOBs out there that are trying to compare this woman to Ashley Babbitt, you're an imbecile. Ashley Babbitt was not committing a misdemeanor. Immediately when she entered that building, it was a felony. That's number one. Number two, she had a chance, okay? This woman never had a chance in this vehicle. She was immediately shot. Nobody pointed a gun at her and said, freeze or I'm going to shoot you. Everything happened in a moment.
What about stop? And then you chased the vehicle. What about that?
Ashley Babbitt had a gun pointed at her, and she continued to try to go through a glass window 10 feet away from politicians. And by the way, there was an investigation. There was no investigation in this, and within 5 minutes, all of a sudden, this woman, who in my opinion was murdered, is being called a domestic terrorist. There is no comparison. Ashley Babbitt's family got $5 million. Why? Because their daughter was an imbecile who got herself killed? The worst thing that I saw in this video of this woman doing was blocking traffic. You don't deserve to be killed because you're blocking traffic. Maybe get the handcuffs put on you and get arrested, not killed. And you can clearly see in the video, and this is what will be telling in a courtroom. And by the way, under Donald Trump's DOJ, make no mistake about it, I don't think this officer is even going to be charged. Take a look at her car, and you get to see motive. Her car and the tires in the front of her car were turning away from the officers. That's what we call evidence. But Kristi Noem calls her a domestic terrorist. Why? Because it goes against the narrative of ICE agents kidnapping people all over this country. There are going to be riots tonight. I do not condone any violence. I hope that doesn't happen, but I'm getting the sense after more and more people watch this video, because it just happened a short time ago, there is going to be violence. I'm not saying it's going to rise to the level of George Floyd stuff, but a lot of people in this country are going to get very, very upset.
You can hear them in the background.
I'm very, very upset. The first time I saw this video, and we're going to learn about this woman's family, 37 years old, this woman, 37 years old.
Can I add something to the parallel?
Please.
With the Ashley Babbitt shooting? You have to remember the Secret Service agent was up against the chamber, okay, with congressmen inside the chamber. There was no way to back up. There was no way to move out of the way. That was the final stand. They piled up chairs up against the doors, and she broke the window and tried to climb through a window. This officer appears from the video to have been able to step to the right and get out of the way of the vehicle. So why couldn't you just yell? And I'm saying hypothetically, I'm not questioning what he did, but you could have said, stop, police, stop. Yeah. And then when she took off, why not just do a traffic stop? Why not send someone after her, turn on some lights and siren, pull her over and write her some tickets?
So I agree. And listen, I'm going to do something that I normally don't do on this show. I usually play audio first, and we'll play audio in hour number 2. But since we are talking
this is important.
Since we're talking about this developing story, which, listen, this story is going to be a big one. It just happened. There's a lot of people that are divided on this, and chances are, I'm just going to say it. Chances are, if you're okay with Nick Shirley and you think all this fraud is going on and you think it's great to stand outside of Tim Walz's home and yell out retard, then chances are you're probably going to think that this is okay and this ICE officer, was defending himself and this is a domestic terrorist. You people are despicable. And then I would like to think the majority of the country that would agree with us in that this was murder. This officer's life was never in danger. He certainly was not qualified to handle this sort of situation. This woman probably does not have a criminal record. I'm going to guess she probably doesn't have a serious criminal record. If she does, it still shouldn't matter, because all that matters is the moments that led up to this and the moment where this woman was brutally murdered. It all happened within seconds. And then 5 minutes after this shooting, Kristi Noem is calling her a domestic terrorist without knowing anything about the incident other than an ICE agent shot and killed somebody, and without knowing anything.
Can you imagine, Brian, if our chief of police back in the day after a shooting could just go on and say, we looked into it and this was a dangerous felon and the officer, so, it was a good shooting. That is not the way the world works. That's not the way it works at the federal level, at the state level. You have to investigate. And by the way, this woman that is now dead, two things. First of all, she wasn't involved in the operation or with law enforcement at all, number one. And number two, you have to prove intent. So if you commit a homicide against someone, police officer, you, me, whatever, when you use that deadly force, you have to prove intent. So how are they going to improve the intent? If you watch the video, was their intent to run the officer over?
Yeah, I don't see that at all. But if you're blinded by racism and bigotry, you'll say yes. I want to open up the phone lines right now.
Yeah, I think people want
agree
to call.
or disagree. I would imagine many of you have already seen the video. I want to get your thoughts on it. I think this is going to be really bad. There were already tensions in Minnesota with what Nick Shirley did with the Somalians and alleged fraud and Tim Walz and everything else going on. I think this just fires the flames even more, and I do believe there's going to be some protests.
I would love someone from Minnesota to call in. That would be terrific.
Well, I'll open up the phone lines now. The number to call is 702-221-SAVE. Again, 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE. We are following the breaking news. I also have a Ron Filipowski statement that I would like to read for you. Now, Ron was an attorney for many, many years. This is according to Ron Filipowski, who says, I prosecuted and defended hundreds of cases where people were alleged to have used their vehicles as deadly weapons against police. This is not that. That's according to Ron Filipowski. And you have grifters on the right, the same grifters that you would guess would be saying she's a domestic terrorist and the ICE officers were just defending themselves. The same people saying that George Floyd died of a drug overdose. These are the same people. So we're taking your phone calls on this. I'm sure many of you have your opinions on it, and we're going to get to phone calls right now. Again, that number is 702-221-7283. Okay, who are we going to first here, Numchuck? Who would be the first person? Let's go to Jeff. Jeff is calling out of Minnesota, where all this is happening. Hi, Jeff. What's going on?
Hey, just living the best life we can in Trump's America.
Yeah, Jeff. How far are you from this? How far are you from where?
I'm far. I'm far. I live in Minnesota. I don't want to say exactly where.
Do you agree with me that you fear that we could have violent protests and this?
Oh, 100%. Oh yeah. I mean, what has it been, a day? They upped the number of federal agents, and
they added 2,000.
Yeah, in a day, and this is day one of the extra people being here.
Jeff, what did you see in that video? What's your reaction the first time you saw this video?
I'm going off of you. I couldn't find it right away.
So it's on Twitter. There's new angles. Thank God we have video of this. Imagine if we didn't have any video at all.
I can imagine.
So there are multiple angles. The first video that I saw is this woman. Clearly, she was probably sadly already dead. She probably died instantly.
Yeah.
And her car crashing into other cars.
I believe she was shot in the head.
Right. She was probably shot in the head. But the first video is very, very clear. And in the first video, she's blocking traffic. Misdemeanor. Keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
An officer calmly and slowly walks up to the vehicle, asking her to get out or move and then get out. He tries to open the vehicle, and that's when she tries to get away. Now, why do I say get away? Well, because she backs up her vehicle, not trying to hurt somebody. She backs it up, trying to get an angle so she can get out. Then a second guy approaches, walks in front of her car, by the way. And the car slightly moves. And then as shots are being fired in that moment, you can see her turning the tires, not trying to ram any of these ICE officers, but trying to get away. And this officer shoots multiple bullets inside this vehicle. I would assume she immediately died. And moments after the shooting, you have Kristi Noem calling her a domestic terrorist, an innocent 37-year-old.
It's also gross, Brian. It's also gross, you know. It's not just this, you know. It's the hateful. It's just everything being boiled to a point, you know, with the Charlie Kirk and, you know, all this stuff, all this just hate being brought to a catalyst because you got a hateful person in charge.
Yeah.
And his words have power. And you got this guy on the news and just saying awful shit every day, you know. Quiet Piggy and all this.
It's every day, and again,
every day.
It's
exhausting.
It is, and I'm going to repeat myself. And I appreciate your call, sir. Please stay safe out there in Minnesota. I'm going to say this again: Donald Trump is now a dictator. He is not a wannabe dictator anymore. He's trying to take over countries with no legal ability to do so, threatening military force, and dictating what happens in other countries.
How is this not like Secret Police of 1933? How is this not? I mean, I know people don't like me to talk about that, but how is that not the same? They throw people in the car, they use deadly force, and everything's okay. And then those people go in the car.
Yeah.
We may not even know. Do you think we're ever going to get the name of the officer that shot?
Probably
not. Do you
not.
think that will ever be published?
Probably not. But I will also say this: there are people in the chat, and there are cowards that listen to this show that are afraid to call in with a different perspective.
Tell them to call in.
I would love to know how you think this is a defense, and how.
Brian, not to interrupt you, but people have been telling me for days they were going to call in when I was here.
They won't.
Well, they have the opportunity. I think there's a phone line open.
Defend this, no matter what your opinion is on what took place. Defend Kristi Noem 5 minutes after this shooting, calling this woman a domestic terrorist.
You can.
Go ahead and
Investigations
try to
take
defend
months.
that. Let's get to the phone call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jay. Jay is next up on PTL. Hello, Jay.
Hey, Brian and Leonard. I
Jay.
called a couple days ago, and I live in Minneapolis, about less than 10 minutes from where this happened.
Wow.
And I just wanted to make a parallel between what happened when George Floyd was killed, which was that hours. So there's somebody called the Umbrella Man, who I'm not sure if people know about this outside of Minneapolis, really. And that person was the one that broke the AutoZone windows and basically started just a wave of violence and looting.
Mm-hmm.
And within hours of George Floyd's killing, even that night, there were unmarked pickup trucks that were coming in from out of town, obviously.
What can I ask you?
Planting.
I'm sorry to interrupt you because I do appreciate the history of this, and I hear what you're saying, but I want to know, what was your reaction the first time you saw this video of this woman, in my estimation, being murdered? What was your reaction?
Well, the first thing was I was hoping that it wasn't somebody that I knew, which is a little bit selfish. But, you know, I'm around the same age, and I have a lot of friends that go out there and protest. So I was worried that it was somebody I knew.
Are you worried about the protest tonight? Are you concerned, since you live sort of in the area, are you concerned about how it's going to escalate tonight? Do you think more people might die?
You know, I don't think so. I think that
I hope you're right.
By now we have a history of protesting and uniting. We know the consequences of violence, especially against ICE. It's just going to escalate things. My hope is that we're better than that.
You live in that area where this?
Know.
You live in the area where this took place?
Yeah, which is also not far away from where George Floyd was killed.
So how far are you from where this 37-year-old woman was shot and killed?
It's about 8 minutes away from my house.
Wow. Can you explain to me the area around where she was shot? What is it, just a quiet neighborhood? What's the area like around there?
Yeah, it's a residential place. There's not really a lot of businesses that close. It's not like an urban center kind of thing is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
It is in the city, but it's mostly residential, pretty big street.
Mostly families, mostly, moms and dads and children? Is it that kind of neighborhood?
Yeah, absolutely. And the neighborhood itself and the surrounding neighborhoods are very diverse, of course.
So what are they doing there? What are they doing, these ICE agents there? What are they doing? It's just operations where they're just trying to find alleged undocumented
Somalians.
I mean,
they're there for the Somalians.
It's just unbelievable.
I think that they're mostly there for Latinx people. I don't think that they're targeting Somalis. But
Really?
it was recently announced that 2,000 ICE agents would be coming to Minneapolis, so it's a little bit of high tension.
And after what these communities are going through with Tim Walz and alleged fraud and these right-wing buffoons that are out there knocking on private businesses and all the stuff that you guys are having to go through with all that, as if that wasn't enough, and now this just brings it over the top. I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but you know this area better than I do, but I would suspect there are going to be plenty of protests, right?
Absolutely. The vigil's already planned, and this is not going to end anytime soon. I mean, people are very outraged. And I would say on both sides, although the right seems pretty quiet after this happened.
Yeah.
Oh, they have plenty to say. And Carolyn Levitt was saying stuff, and Kristi Noem, and they're going to cover it up. And Donald Trump put out a long tweet. It's like a full paragraph saying that they did a great job.
So, I appreciate your phone call. Please give us an update, my friend, and please call us back again tomorrow if you have the time, okay?
Thank you for calling.
Okay, absolutely. You're doing a great job here.
Thank you. As we speak right now, Tim Walz is holding a press conference. He is visibly upset. You could just look at him and see that this is a man who has already gone through the ringer because of these right-wing buffoons. The mayor there in that city was extremely upset. He said, quote, "Get the F out of our city." He also said that this woman was not using her car as a weapon. He was extremely upset, and rightfully so. And Tim Walz looks extremely upset now.
Can I just disagree with the caller real quick? Because they definitely started going there for the Somalians because they don't like the congresswoman that represents them. They want to try to deport them, take away their votes, take away their power, take away their businesses. And by the way, Brian, as of today, no one's been arrested in the big fraud scheme. Yeah. Okay, so
that's
in my
opinion,
now this may be spilling over, but they were definitely there for the Somalians.
And here's what the 34-count felon dictator, and I am finally he's a dictator now. Okay, he's a dictator. He's also an adjudicated liable abuser, sexual abuser, and a 34-count felon. Here's what the orange orangutan just said on Truth Social. He said, "I've just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator." Again, I'm going to stop myself, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to go sentence by sentence. So because a woman is screaming, that means she's a professional
There's no proof, Brian.
agitator.
Sorry to interrupt you, but there's no proof.
There is no evidence that
proof of that.
He doesn't even know her name, doesn't know anything about her, and he's calling her a professional agitator, and she's dead. He goes on to say, "The woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently and willfully and viciously ran over the ICE officer." First of all, the ICE officer was not ran over. It wasn't even close. There was no physical contact as to what he is talking about. But if you're disorderly and obstructing and resisting and doing all these things that they were doing on January 6th, he will give you a pardon and he will call you a hostage and a patriot. Trump goes on. He says, "Seems to have shot her in self-defense." So already Donald Trump has already made up his mind, just like Kristi Noem and all the racist bastards on the right. He says, "Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive, but he is now recovering in the hospital." Talking about the ICE agent. Hard to believe that he's alive.
A different video because
what is he talking about?
I saw him shoot, sidestep, and then shoot as the vehicle. That's what I saw.
It is hard to believe that he's alive.
Is there another video?
No, she has no weapon. He was not run over. The officer who took out his gun and shot her, to my knowledge, was not struck by the vehicle. What the F is he talking about? Then he says the situation's being studied. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
No, it's not. They already concluded.
What's the point of being studied? You guys have already concluded what happened. He says in its entirety. But the reason these incidents are still happening is because of the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They're just trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from this radical left violence and hate. This is exactly what you would expect.
These are just
Donald
normal
Trump.
citizens, Brian. This is just a woman or people. So in these neighborhoods, they're coming together, they're blocking ICE, they're using certain whistles and codes and mass text. And these are people that are just protesting what they're doing. And it's a misdemeanor to block traffic. And by the way, why not do a traffic stop on her?
Yeah.
Why not tell her to stop where you are? What authorization did he have to rip the door open? He tried to rip. I mean, what was the threat that he had to rip the door open?
That's the whole point of this. Number to call 702-221-7283. Let's now go to David. David is next up on PTL. Hello, David.
Hey, Brian. Thank you. A couple of minutes ago when you were, talking about this woman who was shot and you said she was trying to get away, why didn't you mention how she was disobeying direct orders from them to stop the vehicle?
Okay, so first of all, you're not paying attention and you're not listening, because what I said on this show is I don't condone anybody who doesn't listen to law enforcement and tries to get away. But guess what? Just because you're trying to get away doesn't mean that officers have the right to use deadly force. It's funny because you didn't seem to get that. I said that I don't condone anybody. No, I don't. I've said that. So you're wrong.
Disobeying orders is a misdemeanor. Obstructing is a misdemeanor.
David, what he just said is correct. Obstructing is a misdemeanor. It doesn't mean that you deserve to be shot.
Is it a misdemeanor when you try to run over an agent? Is that a misdemeanor?
Okay, so you have made the estimation based on that video that she was, quote, trying to run over an agent. What I saw in this video with my two eyes is her trying to get away. And if you look at the wheels and the way the wheels were pointed just after
he couldn't have seen the wheels. He was too close to
guess
the car.
what?
He didn't know the car was turning.
Guess what? Go ahead, Leonard.
Guess what?
David,
go ahead, Leonard.
I understand what you're saying, David, but what you can't do as a police officer is you can't intentionally or mistakenly put yourself in harm's way in a serious, deadly situation and then have to use your gun to get out of it because you stood in front of a moving vehicle. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, no,
so
he's
the one who escalated. He's the one who made it a deadly. She didn't make it a deadly situation. He did.
All right, hold on a second, David. David, hold on a second. Obviously, we disagree with you, but hang on a second here. Do you think it's fair for Kristi Noem, Donald Trump, and almost everybody on the right, and I'm not talking about people like you, even though I disagree with you, do you think it's fair for the administration and Kristi Noem, literally minutes after this shooting, to claim that this is domestic terrorism? Do you think that that's responsible, David?
No, I don't. I think they're being they should wait until there's an actual full investigation. I think they're being way too brash and,
it's political,
too fast with it all.
Okay, so David,
of course,
that's
on
important.
their end, it's political. I agree that they're doing.
David, on my end, this is not political. If it was my opinion that somebody was,
I said on their end, it's political.
Okay, I missed it. Okay, so David, that's important. We agree on that. Okay, that's an important piece. Now,
well, Brian, can I just say real quick? I'm not happy that this woman is dead, I really hope her family is going to be okay. I just want you to know that I think this is a terrible situation.
Why did it happen, David? Why is this happening in this country right now?
Because they were giving her direct orders. She didn't listen. A cop was in front of an agent was right in front of her car. Mm-hmm. She starts driving. You can see the agent literally get pushed out of the way from the vehicle. He's not going to know, oh, don't worry about it. She's turning to the right. He has to assume she's trying to run him over because she's not following orders. And he shot her in self-defense. I mean,
David, let me. This is Leonard. Did you watch the video? Because he's not directly in front of the vehicle when it's moving. He's in front of the left headlight. And so he's in front of the left headlight. He pulls his gun, and then as the vehicle, let me finish. He shoots, but then as the vehicle moves forward, he steps out of the way. So my question to you is, if you can step out of the way and you can avoid the vehicle, then did you have to use deadly force? That's my question.
Well, yes, because she was clearly he obviously felt.
Why didn't he get hit anyway? He should have been hit anyway. In other words, if he had to use deadly force, and it was imminent and he was going to die, then he should have been hit anyway. Can I ask you, David, there's
another video that shows a different angle and you can clearly see the guy was hit. I'm not saying he was fully run over and he had wheels, run
Donald
over,
Trump said that
with the vehicle.
Donald Trump said that. He said that she ran.
Well, then he was wrong. And I already agree that he's just going to make make comments about it. But that has nothing to do with the fact that this guy literally.
It has everything.
The woman was.
That Donald Trump, it does, and I'll tell you why. Because the rhetoric that Donald Trump is speaking, he is the president of the United States. He has a responsibility to get things right. And what he did was he
Yeah, I
clearly
agree with you.
got it. He clearly got it wrong.
There needs to be an investigation.
and there has to be
There does need to be an investigation.
Okay, but
and,
when you have Kristi Noem,
there's a full investigation.
minutes
and I already
after-
told you, I completely disagree.
minutes. I know, but
yeah, but you also
minutes
have,
after.
Brian, you also have like Jacob Fry minutes after saying that this, that like this woman was murdered and everything, and there hasn't been a full investigation. So it goes on both sides. Both parties.
But guess
shouldn't
what?
be so quick
Jacob
to say
Fry.
these
Okay, but Jacob Fry isn't the president of the United States. You have the
things. No, but
mayor.
he's the mayor.
He
has political power.
Okay,
he
but
should be cautious when he says stuff too.
I
He
saw
was
the
not
video.
cautious at all.
Okay, well, I saw the video, and I saw what took place, and I am a talk show host, and I can tell you, based on the video that I saw, that officer should have never taken out his gun. What would have happened if he didn't take out his gun? I'll tell you what would have happened. Not only would he have not have been struck,
We
with his
couldn't possibly know.
no. Okay, well, she turned the tires of the vehicle, and you can see the tires in the video where she's trying to
But
turn
could
the
that
vehicle.
officer see that happening?
Well, I'm just trying to tell you intent. And the intent
I
is
understand, but could that
David,
officer see
let
that?
me interrupt. Let me ask you a question because I really want to know your thinking on this. Let's say there's a
Okay.
domestic battery situation, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
the husband and the wife, let's say hypothetically, the wife gets in the car and the husband wants to talk to her. She doesn't want to talk to him. And he runs out in the street and the wife is pulling away now, right? She wants to get away from him. And he pulls a gun on a domestic battery and he shoots his wife after he stepped in front of the vehicle because she was trying to get away. Do you think that guy's going to be justified in that shooting if he kills his wife? Because I can tell you right now, he's going to prison.
That's an apples to oranges comparison.
No, it's not.
No, it's
He got
not.
in front of the vehicle.
No, it's not.
He escalated the situation.
Because
He
these
tried
were-
to stop
because
somebody
these
with
were agents
a
that
car
were
with a
telling her,
gun.
giving
Hold
her
on,
false order to
let's just
stop.
end this right now by asking you a very simple question, David. Was George Floyd murdered? Let's see where
I
your
don't
head is
believe
at.
he was, no.
Okay, well,
Oh, no,
shocker.
I'm sorry.
Shocker.
No, you're right. I believe he was murdered. I do think the officer killed him, yeah.
Okay, so you believe it is murder then? That
The
George
gotcha
Floyd
didn't
was
work
murdered.
on me, Brian.
Okay, well, the first thing you said was no, so that's why I'm
Well,
questioning.
no,
it. It's not a
I
gotcha.
yeah, my apologies. No, my apologies. I think that the Derek Chauvin did murder him.
Okay, a lot of people
I think that was pretty
a
clear.
lot of people on the right disagree. I'm glad you agree
Yeah,
that
I know.
I'm glad you agree that it was murder. Obviously, we are on the same opinion on that one. Do you think Nick
Look,
Shirley?
Brian, I'm not a monolith. There's a ton of things on the with the right that I don't agree with.
Okay, do you think Nick Shirley is a great journalist? Does he deserve a prize? Do you think he uncovered a lot of fraud in that video, that 42-minute video?
No, I don't think he uncovered any fraud, but
Okay, thank
we
you.
have to wait and
So
see.
why are so many people? So let me ask you a question, David. Why are so many Republicans claiming
Because
that
it's
he did?
political.
You think
Well, because it's
political?
political.
Do you think it maybe
That
has
is
something to do with the
not
color of their
political.
skin? I don't think that's political at all. These Somalians are not running for office. I want to give you a chance to think about this.
Some of
That
them
is
were.
an out and out lie.
hold on.
That
Let's-
is not political.
Let's start over. Let me ask you this again,
Sure.
David, and I want you to think. Okay, we agree about George Floyd. I'm glad we agree on that. You said this is political. To my knowledge, none of those Somalians in the 10 places that Nick Shirley went to, none of those people are running for office. But there is one common thread with them. They're all not white. So I'm going to ask you again. Why do you
Well,
think?
you're just drawing a random comparison.
No, he was
I'm
not.
not-
nothing
No,
to do
Nick
with this
Shirley
shit.
was a MAGA grifter who went there for clicks and attention.
Okay,
it
you
was
know,
not.
okay, look,
That
look.
is not political. That's about money
Okay, well,
and
then
about
let me-
clicks and
let's
social
just-
media.
all right, you know what,
and
fine,
he
let's just say
lied
that's
about
all
a
true.
race of
Let's say
people
that's all true,
that he
okay?
doesn't like, and everything he said, everything that he accused them of, turned out not to be true. That is not political.
Okay. You know what? Let's just say that's all true, and I agree with you 100% for sake of argument.
No, thank you.
It doesn't have anything to do with what's going on right now, which you guys don't want to talk about.
They
because
sent
I
the
give you
2,000
facts that you
troops
don't
there.
want to talk
They
about.
sent more
What's
ICE there
going on?
because of the Somalians.
Hold on,
That's why
David.
they sent them.
David,
Yeah,
what's
because they were investigating fraud. They already
going
caught
on
them.
right now? David, what's going on right now?
ICE is not investigating
going-
fraud.
What do you mean right now?
You just said you guys don't want to talk about what's going on right now. By the way, we're talking about literally a murder, in my opinion, that took place an hour ago. So I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Brian, ICE
yeah,
doesn't
in
go
your
there to
opinion, but
investigate
video
fraud.
evidence contradicts
on.
that.
Okay, so we are talking about what's going on right now. I don't know what you're talking about. I've covered the Nick
Well,
Shirley
I'll
thing
explain.
extensively. There are ongoing investigations into fraud. The Biden administration
But ICE
opened
doesn't
up.
show up to investigate fraud.
Of course, that's not exactly.
You don't send
David's trying to-
2,000 ICE
I mean,
agents
they
there to
announced that
investigate
they did.
fraud. That
They
makes
said
you're not
they-
making any sense, David.
Yeah, how can ICE? Why are ICE
Look,
agents
you
there?
said they went there to investigate. ICE doesn't investigate fraud.
Yeah, what does that mean, David?
Well, I mean, they made a post saying why they were in Minneapolis, and they said they were targeting riot. Maybe I misspoke when I said it was fraud. They were
Yes.
targeting rioters because people were blocking roads and everything. So, I mean, they did say why they were there. Whether
No,
or
they
not
were
you
getting
agree with
ready
it,
to
they
throw people in vans, Somalians, and take them away and deport them, whether they were a legal citizen, had a green card or a visa or not.
You don't have
And they
to
sent
prove that.
extra troops because they knew there was going to be trouble. That's why they sent.
I don't know.
Proof of that,
Going
Leonard. You're
back,
just making this
going
up.
back. No, going back to what we.
You
Going
completely
back.
made that up.
Going back to starting this phone call, David. I got to tell you, I don't know how anybody can look at the video that we have seen and say that was
And disagree with
justified.
me?
No, and say that was justified and that was
Well,
self-defense.
have you seen the other angles of the video, Brian?
I've seen
there is an angle where the front of the car catches him.
I saw the video.
Then you would see him get pushed by the vehicle.
Yeah, I saw.
It did make contact.
I saw the video where it made
Thank you,
contact,
Leonard.
and after it made minimal contact. By the way, he wasn't run over the way that the man who you voted for described it as. Does not mean that she is a domestic terrorist, and it doesn't mean that it was self-defense. And after he was struck minimally by the side of the vehicle. No, it doesn't. I disagree with you, David. No, I disagree.
I know you disagree with me.
I disagree with you, David. I appreciate
appreciate
the call. And by the way, you don't bring out ICE agents, 2,000 of them, to find fraud. They were out there to try to rack up as many Somalians as possible. It didn't make any sense, David. I appreciate the phone call, but we're living in a very sad time in our society right now when people like David could see that video and say, this was absolutely justified, because it wasn't, in my opinion. 702
As a cop, you can't escalate the use of force. That's as simple as that.
Correct.
What don't they understand?
702-221-7283. If you agree or disagree with David or me, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Liz. Liz is next up on PTL. Hello, Liz. Liz, you're next up. Go right ahead.
Hi, Liz.
Liz, are you there? Earth to Liz. Are you there? Liz, are you there? Okay. Thank you for the call, Liz. We'll keep you on hold. Maybe moving on to another caller. 702-221-7283. The number, by the way, the question, by the way, that I am asking callers is this. I would imagine many of you have seen these multiple videos by now. Do you think this is justified? Do you think that it's okay for Kristi Noem to call this woman a domestic terrorist moments after this shooting? I think it was murder. And I don't believe this woman intentionally tried to strike any officers. It's certainly looking at the tires. She was trying to get away. I don't condone anybody that tries to flee from law enforcement. At the same time, I could only imagine she was probably very scared. I don't think she was trying to harm anybody. I believe she was trying to get out of there. And
Brian, I don't see terrorism as being a single incident. Like, you can't say that was terrorism, because terrorism is trying to invoke fear. It's trying to change policy. It's trying to change people's attitude toward what they do in America. So how is that terrorism? It was a single incident that took a couple of seconds. So domestic terrorism, to me, from my definition, from what I understand, makes absolutely no sense at all.
No, it doesn't.
Just like the argument that the 2,000 ICE agents were there to investigate fraud. That makes no sense. This is how they think. This is how the MAGAs think.
I don't know how anybody could watch that video and say that this was self-defense. Let's go to Ryan. Ryan is next up on PTL. Hey, Ryan, what's up?
So I want to start talking about Ilhan Omar's
Okay, so Ryan, we're not Ryan. I'm sorry to interject, but we're not talking about Ilhan Omar. We're clearly
he maybe was going to tie it in, but she's not the representative. So.
Yeah. So Ryan, we want to talk about the video. Do you have an opinion on that?
It is disturbing what the ICE agents are doing. It's very disturbing, and it was a very, very dishonest thing to do.
Ryan, I completely agree with you. When I saw that video, I was extremely disturbed. I would imagine that this woman probably died instantly, and looking at the videos that I saw, it certainly appeared on, probably shot in the head. If an officer is grazed by a vehicle, because make no mistake about it, in the video that I saw, that's what it was. He was grazed, and you see the tire turning, meaning she's trying to get away. And that's what is an important part of this video.
He's going to have a tough time if he's investigated later on, especially in court. If there's charges explaining how he was
raised by the video.
Well, he reaches out.
He reaches out with his hands, number one. And number two, you can see the car turning, not going straight, the car is turning the tires trying to get away. You can see that in every angle. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's get back to the phone calls, if I may. And let's go to Brett. Brett is next up on PTO. Hello, Brett.
Hey, what's up, Brian,
Hey.
Leonard?
Hi, Brett.
I don't know what's wrong with you guys. You're just looking at the wrong angle. It's absolutely not murder. You're just looking at the wrong angle. I don't know why you guys spend so much time with David, because he's just gaslighting you. He's a Trump pumping fool that's going to justify any single action that this guy takes, no matter how bad, no matter how heinous. Murder, it doesn't matter. They're going to justify it and gaslight you all day long.
Yeah. And by the way, there's an idiot on social media who's a coward who's afraid to call in, but he's a YouTube chat tough guy, and he said something that is so blatantly false. He says the car was turning towards the ICE agent. Now, unless you're a complete buffoon like this guy is, you can clearly see in all the angles that the tires were turning exactly the opposite angle of where these agents were at that time. That is a blatant lie. So if somebody is going to blatantly lie like that, I'm going to call them out. The earth is not flat, and this 37-year-old woman who I believe was murdered never turned to the turning towards the officers would have been the tires turning to the left. In the entire video, you see the tires turning to the right, away from the officers. So this guy is mixing up his left from his right.
Can I ask Brett? Can I ask you a question? This is Leonard. So,
Of course, Leonard.
if you're trained as a police officer not to stand in front of moving vehicles and not to be the one that escalates the use of force, and that's your training, and anyone that gets in front of a vehicle that's going to be moving forward or moving back and tries to block with their body should have known, they knew or should have known that they were going to have to escalate the use of force. That's what we're saying. So if you see it as an okay shoot, I don't have a problem with that, because we all saw the video and that's what you decided. But can a police officer go against his training and try to block a vehicle?
This is also important. How fast was the vehicle going? 2 miles an hour?
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing.
He decided he was going to kill that woman right after he was so pissed off that he yelled at her. He decided right there and then that he was going to brandish his weapon and that he was going to shoot her and execute her right on the spot, because his daddy is Donald Trump, and they could do that now.
Yes, it escalated very, very quickly. And you know what that's an indication of, Brett? Not to interrupt you, but you know what that's an indication of? That's an indication of guys that are new to law enforcement, not much experience. They don't know how to stay calm in deadly situations. They pull their guns, they grab doors. And to me, that's an indication of either not a lot of life experience or not enough training. Would you agree?
That's not even, he wasn't, it wasn't even out of fear. It was out of anger.
You know what this reminds me of? This, and thank you, by the way, for the call, Brett.
Thanks,
I agree
Brett.
with you. Sometimes officers pull people over. They don't use deadly force, but they only pull people over because somebody flips them off. And as you know, by the way, I don't condone that behavior, but it's not against the law. You're allowed to flip off a cop if you want to.
Covered by the First Amendment.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't advise you do it, but there are videos all over social media where people get roughed up and they get pulled over for no reason. And the only reason why they pull them over is retribution, because they got flipped off. Now, this is obviously at a much larger scale because this officer used deadly force, but I see this as being the same thing. This is an officer who's got an ego, probably. The car grazed him, so he thinks he can just take out his gun and shoot somebody. And that's not what our laws state. And if this guy doesn't get, I don't think he's going to get prosecuted. In fact, I don't even think he's going to get charged. Under the Trump administration, they're going to pressure. And I don't believe this officer will be charged with anything. And it's not because I don't think he broke the law. It's because of Donald Trump and his administration. That's my opinion.
Well, let me tell you something, Brian, because I was law enforcement for 25 years. And I did thousands of traffic stops, thousands of car stops. I backed up officers on felonies and misdemeanors. And I can tell you, honestly, within 25 years of service, I've never stepped in front of a vehicle that could potentially run me over. You know why? Because training and common sense. It's common sense. If you jump in front of a car, that there's a good chance that you could have to use deadly force.
Yeah, of course. I agree with you, Leonard. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mary, who is calling from Minneapolis as well. Hi, Mary.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
This is so disturbing, and I can't tell you how much I'm disgusted with this administration and how much Kristi Noem and Donald Trump tell so many lies. I mean, she doesn't even know all the facts.
She didn't know any
she's
facts.
calling it
The only thing that
she's
she was
calling it-
told, I can guarantee you, Mary, the only thing that Kristi Noem was told moments after the shooting is that an ICE agent or ICE agents had to shoot a woman in a car who was trying to get away. I'm sure she got something along those lines, and she turned that into this is domestic terrorism. I'm sure it's a message sent down from the President of the United States. Mary, how far are you from where this happened?
Like 20 minutes.
Wow. So you're also very, very close. Are you worried now that there's going to be perhaps violent protests? I mean, certainly I think there'll be protests tonight, but do you are you worried that it could get violent?
Yes, I am. And my daughter lives down where it happened, where George Floyd was murdered. And I worry about her. And when George Floyd got murdered, her boyfriend got sucker punched by some idiot. And who knows what kind of violence is going to go on. And she works at a restaurant where there's multiple Hispanic people, and they have to keep all the doors locked.
Well,
Because
Tim
they
Walz has
never
put
know
the
when-
National Guard on standby. They announced on CNN that Tim Walz has told the National Guard to be on standby. So I think it's going to escalate.
It's just so disturbing how this administration is attacking Minnesota and other states, blue states,
Yeah.
where, you know, it's unbelievable
I
that we
heard
have
what
to
Donald
live
Trump
with
said.
this.
He said, I don't respect my enemies. I hate my enemies. I hate the He said it.
I'm going to tell you,
Straight out.
I think Tim Walz has done the right thing in getting them ready.
Mhm.
I would also plea with everyone. I know that there's going to be a lot of people, including myself, a lot of people that are very angry at what we saw. We're very upset. But I'm going to tell you, you can't turn to violence. I'm not saying you, Mary. I'm saying in general.
No.
If idiots like the Kyle Rittenhouses of the world want to show up with AR-15s, leave them alone. But we cannot have violence. We cannot be throwing rocks at officers. We cannot be making physical contact with them. I totally understand why people are angry. I am pissed off, and I want justice for this, in my opinion. Innocent 37-year-old woman. What was she doing? A misdemeanor. Yes. When you're fleeing from police officers, those are more charges that obviously could be filed. But none of what I saw would have defended deadly force that was used.
She was
here.
standing against what she believed is tyranny and oppression. Tyranny, oppression,
She didn't
tyranny
do
and
it.
oppression is what we ran away from. And some people in America don't like it. And using your car to block a road is a misdemeanor. That's not a felony.
It
That's
is,
not
but-
violent.
She didn't deserve to be murdered.
No, she didn't. And we need to keep saying that as much as the Trump administration want to call her a domestic terrorist. You please stay safe out there in Minnesota.
Thanks, Mary. Be
And
careful
if
out
you-
there tonight.
And Mary, if you have any updates for us tomorrow, we would ask that you please call in tomorrow because I'd love to hear from you, Mary, and I appreciate the call. 702-221.
Or anyone.
72,
Anyone
I
in
can't see the
Minneapolis
screen.
who's
Seven-
a witness,
There
call
we go.
tomorrow.
Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Julie. Julie's next on PTL. Hello, Julie.
Hey, Brian.
Hi, Julie.
I'm in complete and utter shock that this has happened.
Mhm.
This administration has just gave the golden ticket to anybody to given permission for any violence they want to do.
You think this is
And
going to
gave
encourage more
permission to
violence?
people-
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're giving people to encourage
A
violence.
green light, right?
That's what the administration is doing. Yeah.
By the way, the same.
And they're encouraging MAGAs to speak however they want to speak, like
Yeah.
Mr. Butler
Yeah.
or Mark, who was in the comments that Brian was talking about.
And by the way, I want to add something to what you just said. The same dumbasses that I'm talking about on social media, the cowards that are too afraid to call into the show, are saying, don't flee, don't get shot. Hey, dumbass, that's like saying, don't steal a bubble of gum, don't get shot. Okay, that's also a misdemeanor, you dumbass. Just because you flee or just because you're running from law enforcement doesn't give them the right to use deadly force, you dumbasses. Dumbasses, hey, it's so monumentally stupid. I know Leonard has a thank you for the call, my dear. I appreciate you, Julia.
Thanks,
We
Julie.
got a super chat. Leonard, go ahead and read it for us.
So Laura Villalobos asks, can they prosecute the ICE agent after Trump leaves office prayers to the family of the woman that was killed. Yes, we are sending out our prayers and our condolences because their family is going to go through a very, very rough time, and they absolutely can. You have to remember, though, on murder, there is a statute of limitations.
Yep.
I believe it's in this state, I believe it's 4 or 5 years, and I don't think they would be doing state charges anyway. But what about this question, Lori? How about this question? What about the civil rights violation? Because even in the George Floyd case, one of the big issues was whether or not their civil rights were violated by the officer's actions.
Yeah.
So what you're asking is, once Trump leaves, can those people be prosecuted? I believe absolutely. They do not have presidential immunity, and neither does Kristi Noem, and neither does Carolyn Yvette, and neither does Dan Bongino or any of them.
702-221-7283. Let's go to Tony. Tony is next up on PTL. Hi, Tony.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Leonard. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Hey, I'm in northern Minnesota, and I heard about this. I'm angry. I am so disgusted with what the hell is going on in this country, and that human centipede, MAGA, all you idiots deserve what you guys get. Now, I'm tired of this. Lady did not deserve this. I watched the video. I watched it like you guys about 100 times, and you guys are correct. She was avoiding. She's trying to get out of there. The wheels were turned to the right. The idiot was to the left, and then he walked after he shot. He's a coward and walked away.
I agree with you. And again, for all of the MAGA idiots out there, and that's what you are, that are claiming that this woman was intentionally trying to strike the officer or anything to that nature, that this is self-defense. All you have to do is look at the tires. You look at the tires, and this is exactly the way she was pointing the wheels and the steering wheel. She was trying to get away. And just because an officer is grazed, and by the way, after he was grazed by the vehicle with his hands, because that's really what it was, that doesn't give him a right to kill somebody. Okay, she would have been long gone away. And then you get her license plate, which they would have, and then you arrest her. Fine, no problem. To take out your gun and shoot her, this is somebody who was clearly should have never had a gun, should have never been an ICE agent, clearly wasn't trained.
Can I ask Tony a question?
Go ahead.
Tony, can I ask you a question?
Sure, Leonard. Go ahead.
So in the video,
Yeah,
if you watch the officer when she first goes in reverse, okay, you watch the video closely, he reaches for his gun and starts to pull.
Yes.
Right? Because she's backing up and they don't know what she's going to do next. But what he does is pull his service weapon out and points it, and then she puts it into gear and then goes forward. Why couldn't he take 2 or 3 steps to the right? Why was his first reaction not to get out of the way? You see what I'm saying?
Because
couldn't you take 2 or 3 steps to the right? I'm just asking.
But because they're not trained. They're not trained officers. These are Jan 6ers that are masquerading as ICE officers that are hired by the human centipede, Donald Trump.
Yes, and I believe that there was a lot of other scenarios that could have taken place, and they could have just done a simple traffic stop. If you notice, the officer says something to the woman, she says something back, it appears in the video, and the first thing he does is walk in a very aggressive manner and try to pull her door open, which probably scared the crap out of her. And so was her intent to get out of there, or was her intent to run someone over?
My wife would be scared crapless over the whole thing. Let me say this. Kristi Noem come out and said that the ICE officers were trying to push her out of the snow. Push her out of what?
That was you're right. That was the original report that one of the vehicles got stuck in the snow. You're 100% right. That was the original report.
Unbelievable.
What vehicle got stuck in the snow? What was that?
Right. That's what I'm saying. She's got a 4-wheel drive vehicle.
That's what they said at first. He's right.
Because they will lie, and then they will. Thank you for the call, my friend. Be safe out there in Minnesota.
Say that, Brian.
What they will do is they will immediately lie, and then when they get caught in a lie, they try to come up with another lie. So first, the officers are trying to get her out of the snow. Next, she's a domestic terrorist as she's trying to get away from the real terrorist here. The real terrorist here, in my personal opinion, or at least terrorist, is the ICE officer who fired his weapon. Let's go to Jason. Jason is next up on PTL. Hi, Jason.
Allow me, because I'm a little somber. This is the day my wife. This is the day my wife died last year.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Jason.
I'm sorry to hear that, Jason. We'll say a prayer for you.
Okay, but this is the reason why I had to call. Number one, let's just call what it is. President Trump is the president of death, and so is the MAGA cult. They lump death. They've been bombing votes the day after January 6th, where they called Mike Pence a coward, and this happened, and Noam and Trump are giving kudos to it. And if you thought about it, just saying, even if they're all charged, Trump will pardon them. Just saying what it is, Trump will pardon them. And more than that, why I call him the president of death, he cuts off Medicaid, Medicare, he cuts off food stamps, he cuts off SNAP. He wants people to die. This is the president of death. And so is the MAGA cult. They say they were white Christian nationalists. There's nothing Christian about them. They are the cult of death. That's all they produce. Look at what since Trump got in office. What did he produce? Nothing but death. I digress.
Thank you, Jason.
We love your
Let me just
passion,
say-
Jason.
Let me just say once again, I'm sorry for the loss of your wife last year, and my thoughts and prayers are with you, my friend. Thank you, Jason, for the phone call. It's always good.
Can
to
I
hear
address
from
a
you.
question in the live chat?
Just quickly in the go ahead and read it.
There was a question in a live chat. They said, "Can state charges be brought against ICE?" And the question is yes. And I'm not going to go into detail because it's complicated. But if that officer was not acting in the capacity or within protocol or within policy or within federal law, then yes, he can be prosecuted by the state. But you would have to prove that he violated state law.
Yeah. Electric Dad says, was the agent Dean Cain or Kid Rock? Yeah, it could have been one of the two. That's possible.
That's funny.
Maybe it was Dean Cain. 702-221-7283.
Not feeling too jokey today, though.
Yeah, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Who are we going to next year? We're going to Donna. Donna's next. Hello, Donna.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Donna.
This is Donna. I'm Kathy in the chat group. I agree with you on this. She was murdered. As someone who is Mexican myself and seeing everything that has happened with ICE and how they treat us and, you know, the brutality and just all of that is just so appalling to me. And she didn't deserve this. No one deserves to be murdered in this sense of the word whatsoever. You know, the ICE agent was wrong in what he did. He was being very aggressive with his behavior. It's appalling to me. And then Christine Noam, as I'm going to call her the dog killer, you know, is lies upon lies. I mean, nothing that comes out of her mouth is word. And it's appalling and disgusting to me that this continues to happen with this administration and with the leader of it, Trump. This is written all over him. And I'm sick. I'm really, really sick about all of this, Brian. It really upsets me.
It was hard.
I don't know what else to say.
Right. It was hard.
Donna, I appreciate your call, and obviously I'm very upset as well. We have to use the energy that we have and the anger that we have to peacefully protest, and I'm a little worried about what's going to be taking place in Minnesota tonight, and things are going to escalate. Welcome to Donald Trump's America. I appreciate your call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Aaron. Aaron is next up on PTL. Hello, Aaron. Hi, Aaron. Go right ahead.
Hello,
Brian. Right?
Yes, Aaron. Go right ahead.
Okay. So I was watching your live comments right now, and I was actually looking at numerous videos from the ICE situation. Now I understand your place to believe it's murder, right? Murder does have a legal stance to where it has to be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
But in this situation, after watching numerous videos, I understand that one of the officers was in fault because he did grab the door handle trying to open the door, which he shouldn't have done. That's first and foremost, he shouldn't have done that. He should have explained what's going on, told the person to put the vehicle in park, talk to the person, see what's going on. But instead, he actually escalated the situation. That's it. Which I do agree that they shouldn't have done that. However, when she reversed, you can see the wheels turning backwards, and then the wheels straighten out when the other officer is walking towards the vehicle, and you see the front wheels turn before moving forward, which could or could not imply intent. But at the end of the day, the officer does have to keep his safety first hand. So we have to keep himself safe.
Let me say something, Aaron, if you don't mind. So there's no one that I've spoken to yet that has watched this video and said, oh my God, What was that woman thinking? She knew people were going to shoot her. She knew the police would shoot her. If she did, there was none of that. There was nothing where people are going, oh, that's shocking. That officer had to do that. I haven't talked to one person yet that has said that. Even the MAGAs that called in and the Republicans haven't said that. And when you're talking about the officer's intent, if you point a gun and squeeze a trigger, we know the intent, right? Or you're not questioning that, are you?
Yeah, well, you have to understand. Was the intent to kill? Or was the intent,
if you point a gun at somebody's head and you pull the trigger, I think the intent's clear.
There's
at least to me.
Things. There's two different things though, as an officer.
Let me ask you a question.
As an officer, because I do know many officers, when you pull your firearm, the intent is not to kill. The intent is to stop.
Okay, but let me ask you something.
As
an officer, can you pull your gun just because you want somebody to comply with you? Or do you pull your gun because there's a danger and you're in danger?
Now, with that same situation, if a vehicle is coming at you,
he pulled out. He took out his weapon when she was in reverse.
But he didn't though. The officer in front didn't. The officer to the side of the car was grabbing his gun when she was reversing. And that was wrong.
Okay.
No, if you watch the video, it was the officer in front. His hand immediately, as she goes back,
correct.
His hand immediately goes to the gun.
When her vehicle starts going forward, that's when the hand goes on. That's when his hand goes on.
No, he already had his gun out by that time.
His gun.
And my question is, and maybe you disagree, but couldn't you step out of the way?
He might possibly have a quick draw. You never know.
He had a quick draw. He was. You could tell that he.
Hold on a second, caller. Let me ask you a question. Videos. And I appreciate the fact that you at least were willing to admit that first officer did the opposite of de-escalation. And by the way, I believe
he should have de-escalated. The immediate thing he should have done was
here's the thing that is mesmerizing to me. As she is backing up, the officer moves in front of the vehicle. Don't you find that problematic? By the way, I watched the video and I'm watching it again and again. Hold on.
Calm down.
Hold on.
Don't start yelling. Okay. Don't start yelling.
First of all,
sir,
you can't tell him how to talk.
Sir, let me just start.
I'm just saying.
Hold on.
You can yell if you want.
Guys, everybody, hold on. Stop. Sir, with respect, this is my show. I'm a passionate person. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Please.
I'm just asking you to
stay civil. And I am. Have I called you any names?
I didn't say you called me names.
Okay, so let's do it.
Passion.
Okay, so hold on. Even though a 37-year-old woman, in my opinion, was murdered, everything's hunky dory. Let's laugh and let's have a good time. No, I'm sorry, sir. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to repeat. I'm going to repeat what I just said. Okay, let's move on now. 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 Please don't interrupt me. It's my show, and I'm asking you politely. Let's be civil. Please don't interrupt me. You're interrupting me. Let me talk. So, in this video, as she is backing up, the officer moves in front of the vehicle. He's on the side and he moves to the front of the vehicle. In what planet is that the right thing for a law enforcement officer to do, sir?
Well, there's actually two agents. One's in front of the vehicle on the
I know there are two agents. I'm not talking about the other agent. I'm talking about the agent that shot, okay? In this video,
from across the street.
Okay, will you please just listen to what I am asking you? Because you're not listening.
I did. I'm answering the question. The officer that pulled his firearm was walking from across the street towards the situation. That's the officer in question.
And you're not answering my question. I'm going to ask it again. I didn't ask you where the second officer came from. I'm asking you the same question again. When she is in reverse, I'm watching it right now. It's beyond the shadow of a doubt. He moves casually from the side of the vehicle and walks to the front of the vehicle. How could you be okay with that?
I'm actually watching the vehicle, the situation right now.
But
there's an officer on the side of the vehicle, and there's an officer.
Yeah, but Aaron, you can't. You have to understand, as a police officer, you cannot be the one. If we could escalate the violence, then we could step in front of vehicles every day and shoot people. We could have people fleeing from Walmart who committed a petty larceny, and we could step in front of their car and shoot them for stealing sneakers from Walmart. What I'm trying to say is that you are not supposed to escalate the violence as a police officer. And you're not supposed to put yourself in imminent jeopardy so that you have to use deadly force. You see what I'm saying? What he did was operationally incorrect.
The original officer, the initial officer was.
It's irrelevant. We're talking about the person who shot. That's irrelevant.
Let's get back to
the guy on the side of the car is irrelevant.
Sir, with respect, sir. No, with respect, sir. Every time we ask you or I ask you a direct question, you say something else. I don't care where the officer came from. What I'm trying to explain to you is that the officer that shot his weapon, as she's backing up, you could see the officer that shot his weapon that moves in front of the vehicle before he is grazed. The vehicle. And I'm watching it over and over and over again, and it's as clear as day.
He took a position in front of the vehicle.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
that's not even debatable.
But wait a minute. It's debatable because of the fact that he's walking from a specific area to the other.
Okay, then let's say he's right, Brian. So then if he was walking, hold on a second, Aaron. If he was walking from another area and he was walking across the front of the vehicle, then if you're correct, why did he stop? Why didn't he just keep walking? Why did he stop? Because he was trying to stop the vehicle as a human being and standing in front of a moving vehicle.
Okay, wait a minute. So if you're walking across you and you see a vehicle moving forward to you, do you react or do you stop a situation?
I try to get the hell out of the way. That's what any normal human being would do, unless you're law enforcement and you think you're above the law and you take out a gun because you want to kill somebody.
It's not a person crossing the street. And the MAGAs do, and you're moving the goalposts. That is not somebody who's a civilian.
Hold on. Let me ask. I need some background on you. And even though we disagree with you, no, hold on a second. Was George Floyd murdered, sir? Yes or no?
Was he murdered? No. Was it manslaughter? Yes.
Wait. Okay, hold on a second. I think no. You said no. No. You said no. Okay. So now we have background here. No, you're not going to know. You said no. I didn't need an explanation. I asked you yes or no. Is Derek Chauvin a convicted murderer? Is Derek Chauvin a convicted murderer? Yes or no?
Many charges.
Because he's been tried.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's your opinion. Hold on.
There was no intent to kill him.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so hold on a second. Hold on a second, sir. Okay, sir. I don't need you to filibuster. It was yes or no answer. So, okay, yes, you are. I didn't ask for an explanation. I don't need one from you. You know what the explanation is? Derek Chauvin was convicted in a court of law of murder. Okay. No, he is a murderer. Oh, he wasn't convicted on murder.
More than murder.
Yeah, that's not murder, sir?
It was not intentional murder.
Okay. Well, sir, you have no idea what you're talking about, but here's why I asked you that.
I do.
Oh, no, you don't. Here's why I asked that question.
I watched the
Pot him down. You're going to stop interrupting me. You're the one that's not being civil. Okay. I'd be uncivil if I said you're a right-wing mushroom gobbling idiot and probably a racist. That would be not civil, sir. Stop interrupting me.
Can I
let me hold on. Hang on one second. Derek Chauvin is a convicted murderer. Okay. There is no explanation from you right-wing turds. He's a convicted murderer. That's number one. Number two, you make a judgment 5-10 minutes after an incident happens. You're saying that this was justified. But then when we actually have our justice system and an investigation and two coroners who investigate and do autopsies and all that other stuff, you still take the MAGA side, sir. That means you have no credibility. And that's why I asked you that very simple question. And it's very sad that we live in a country right now where we have so many people like you who don't respect rule of law. You don't respect our court systems. You don't respect anything. Here's the thing, sir. And Leonard would know a thing or two about this. Okay. Nowhere in this country are police officers trained to put a knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes when they're lying on their stomach. They're not resisting.
Nowhere.
They're not going anywhere, and they have handcuffs. But you're obviously not smart enough to understand that. Leonard, go ahead and explain to this right-wing doofus.
If he can look it up himself, you can look up yourself the Minneapolis police policy and procedure, and nowhere in there will you find that it's okay to kneel on someone's neck. That is not a technique we use. That's not a tactic we use. The knee, when you're on the ground and you're trying to cuff someone, is supposed to go across the back shoulder blades or the middle of the back. And if your knee slips during the struggle to the neck, you're instructed and taught to get your knee back off the neck because it's there for restraint. You're not trying to kill someone. Derek Chauvin stood there for almost 9 minutes with his knee on the man's neck who was saying, I can't breathe. What about that? I can't breathe. Calling for his mom.
Listen,
what did he think was happening to the guy?
You obviously can't speak logic and facts to this man. He's already made up his mind. convicted murderer Derek Chauvin.
He's been watching Fox or
Yeah,
something like that.
Sir, I'm going to be
I
uncivil.
watched the trial.
Oh, you did. You watched the trial, sir.
Yes.
And what did
Yes.
what did the prosecutors prove? And what did the two coroners?
Yes.
What was the cause of death, sir? Since you watched the trial, what was the cause of death? What was the cause of death? What was the cause of death? Answer the question.
Are you going to let me answer? Or are you just going to
I'm
keep
waiting.
repeating the question?
I'm waiting because you're not answering. Answer.
So the cause of death was due to him kneeling on his neck, which caused asphyxiation.
Correct.
And had he not called that murder?
Okay.
You can't fixate yourself.
Because there was no intent to do that.
How could someone kneeling on someone not be
You
intent?
Trump mushroom gobbling fool.
He was guilty of second-degree murder,
You're a
third-degree
fool.
murder,
And then the
and
second of
second-degree
all-
manslaughter. Okay, that's what he was found guilty
He
of.
put his knee on his
Three
neck.
charges.
Shut up, caller. He put his knee on his neck for 9 minutes, but there was no intent there. You fool. You are a disgrace. People like you are embarrassing. Why don't you go follow Jack Posobiec and go screw yourself? Why
Yeah, or
don't you
Nick
do that?
Shirley. You sound like a Nick Shirley fan.
Yeah, God forbid somebody in your family gets a knee put on their neck for 9 minutes when they say that they can't breathe and they're handcuffed, and you say, well, it wasn't intentional. Screw you. I am so sick of
I've had
people
one
like
on
you.
my neck
You are
when I
so
was being
stupid.
arrested.
Get off my show, you ignorant MAGA buffoon, you. Get off my show.
That was really, really next level stupid.
Yeah,
And
but should
I
we
hate
be
to use
should-
the word stupid, but
should
it
we be
was.
surprised that an idiot who thinks that Derek Chauvin didn't murder George Floyd is the same idiot who justifies this ICE officer murdering a 37-year-old innocent woman? Screw you. Screw you and your racism. I've had it with you morons. Let's go to Rhonda. Rhonda is next on PTL. Hello, Rhonda.
Hey, Brian, that was a fool. You gave him too much time. God, he was an awful caller.
Well, we give them time so we can show just exactly how these people think.
Can I, Rhonda? I'm sorry. Rhonda, just give me 1 second here. I got to read a super chat, if I may. Hannah Montan says, I live about 18 minutes from where this happened. Make no mistake, ICE is here for our Somali population.
Exactly.
Deploying 2,000 more agents here escalated things, and this is all on Trump and Noam's hands. That is a great comment, Hannah. And sadly, you're right, and it's very factual. Go ahead, my dear.
Yes, dear. This is a bad day. Listen, Brian, Happy New Year, Leonard.
Oh, thank you.
I was getting ready for the Miami game tomorrow because I'm from Miami, as you know.
Hurricane.
It just took out the celebration when I just seen this what just happened. I just want to ask you and Brian the question. It starts from the top. I grew up in the 60s, and in 72, I remember how Congress, even though Nixon was a horrible, he had his problems, but we have no Congress to keep Trump in line. They have given him all the power. Can I have your oh my God, comments on that?
They eliminated Congress. They basically eliminated Congress from the entire legislative process. Trump makes up the laws, he does what he wants, and he just thumbs his nose at them.
Yeah.
So we don't really have a Congress right now.
I appreciate your call, my dear. And yeah, these are very sad times we're living in. 702-221-7283. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Terry, right? Is Terry next on PTL? Yeah, Terry's next. Hey, Terry, what's up?
Yeah, you done?
Am I done? No, I have about 27 minutes left in the show.
Go ahead, Terry. What's your comment?
I'm not
I just wasn't sure. Yeah. Look like Minnesota, that lady got shot by us. First of all, this is the prime example of Democrat leadership by Tim Walz and Somalian illegal aliens.
Okay, so Terry,
I want to hear this.
Terry, I'll gladly listen
wanna
to
hear
you,
this.
and I will gladly give you the opportunity. But I do want to start with the breaking news, which I don't think has anything to do with Tim Walz, and that is the video of an ICE agent, in my personal opinion, murdering a woman, a 37-year-old woman. Terry, what did you see in the video, and do you think it's justified to use deadly force in this situation?
Well, what happened was...
Why are you laughing, Terry? Terry, why are you laughing? You think this is funny?
Son just sent me a funny picture of my cell phone. I just want to look at it. Anyway, so what happened was that lady was trying to run over the people with her car, and they had to neutralize the threat.
Okay, who was run over? Who was? Okay, hold on. Let's go one by one. Who was run over? Who was run over?
Who was run over was?
Yeah.
They
Do I
tried to
stutter?
run over the ice.
No. Okay, so you're
Yeah, but
claiming that.
Hold on. He's assuming intent. He's saying she intended to run them over. Did you not see her trying to escape? Because there's a difference.
First of all, the video you were watching was doctored.
No, there's no evidence that it was doctored, Alex Jones. Okay, I'm not gonna. Let me guess. You think
he QAnon?
Hold on.
Is he
Terry,
QAnon?
Terry, tell me if I'm right. You believe Donald Trump won the 2020 election, right? Right?
Yeah,
Of course you do. Terry, you think George Soros runs the Democrat Party, right?
There's deeper strings.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You think the FBI was responsible for January 6th, right, Terry? Because you sound like a very intelligent person.
What about the lasers in space?
Terry, do you think FBI was and Democrats were responsible for January 6th?
Can I have 30 seconds?
No, it's my show, not yours. You're going to answer my questions.
If you start answering
You're
questions,
going to answer
sense.
You're going to answer my questions, or the conversation is over. It's my show, not Moore's. You QAnon buffoon, you. So, was the FBI responsible for January 6th? Yes or no?
They played a big part.
They played a big part. Yeah. What a shocker, Terry. Are you being anally probed by an alien right now? You're not a serious person. Do you watch Alex Jones?
Do you have an aluminum hat?
Did the Sandy Hook shooting happen, Terry? Yes or no? Did the Sandy Hook shooting happen, or were they just actors, Terry?
What happened?
Oh, well, thank you.
Was COVID fake? Was that a left-wing conspiracy?
Was that fake?
Did COVID actually never happen? Is that what you're saying?
It happened, not to the extent they told us.
Oh, the millions of people.
Terry, let me be very clear. Let me be very clear, Terry. You wear a tinfoil hat. You are not a serious person. I hear you laughing.
I don't.
No,
I don't.
There's
I
a
don't.
30. Okay, so what would you like to say to the 37-year-old woman who died? Is there anything you'd like to say to her family right now, Terry?
Why was she running over pipe agents?
So hold on a second. Okay, so
Nobody
first of
got
all,
run
you're
over.
not going to swear, you dumb buffoon. You're not going to swear on my show. That's
Nobody
number
was
one.
run over.
Number two, it shows that you have no decency in your body and you're a piece of human scum. I just asked you, what would you say, even though I disagree with Ashley Babbitt and her actions, the day it happened, the day after it happened, I still have said I feel for her family. Do you not have any moral compass and grounds to say, geez, I'm sorry to her family, even though you're not an investigator and you have no idea where the investigation is going to go, and you're a tinfoil hat moron? We've cleared that up with the questions that I've asked you thus far. I will give you one more opportunity to prove to anybody that you actually have a moral compass. I'll give you another chance. What would you like to say to this woman's family?
Well, Ashley Babbitt was fulfilling.
I didn't ask you about Ashley Babbitt. We're going to pod you down once again.
Does he believe Elvis is still
hold on.
alive?
Terry, I'm going to ask you again. The question was not about Ashley Babbitt. This is now the third time I'm asking because you are such a scumbag and you don't have any decency. I've given you the opportunity. This is your last chance. What would you like to say to this 37-year-old woman's family about what took place today? What would you like to say, Terry? Go ahead.
I would like to say from the bottom of my heart over here in Michigan that I'm sorry she died. Should not have happened.
Thank you for saying that, Terry. Why couldn't you say that from the beginning?
I was trying to make a point and you wouldn't let me talk. I'm not as learned, but
well, I don't think you talk slow. I think you are slow, but that's okay. We will continue the conversation. Go ahead, Leonard.
Terry, let me ask you something. You started out by blaming Tim Walz for this problem and saying that it was his leadership and et cetera. But I was wondering how you were going to tie that piece of lie into the actual shooting today, because Tim Walz had nothing to do with any of that. They were sent by Donald Trump. They were, in my opinion, not very well trained, and they escalated quickly and they were very aggressive. So how does Tim Walz have any possible culpability in any of that? I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, we got to ask, why is ICE in Minnesota in the first place?
Because they want to deport the Somalians. That's why.
And
the
why
Somalians are the 70% of the population, and they vote for people in Congress who are Somalian, and Trump decided that he wanted to get rid of them. Me personally, I think it's straight racism.
It's dual loyalty, and they should not. He let them all in the city. All right,
Terry, the Somalians deserve the same rights, the same civil rights that Americans have. Do they deserve the same rights? Yes or no?
It's going to have to be multifaceted.
Oh Jesus, he
What is
can't even. He doesn't know what he said. Okay, so Terry, I want to give you some facts into this shooting that took place today. We're now learning more information. A total of 3 shots were fired at this deceased 37-year-old woman. Now, this is very important. During all shots, especially the second and third shots, the ICE agent is beside the car, not in front of the car, when the woman is driving away. He sticks his gun through the window. The pictures show the frames for each shot. I'm wondering, even though you claim you talk slow, let's prove that you're not slow. Okay, Terry, I'll give you the chance. If he's firing all of his shots from the side of the vehicle, all three of them, and puts his gun through the driver window, which would prove he wasn't in front of the car when he started shooting this woman, how is that self-defense?
It's like Ashley Babbitt with the gun pointed at her.
What are you talking about? It's got nothing to do with Ashley Babbitt. Answer the question. He put his gun through the driver window and shot 3 times. Every time he shot, he was on the side of the vehicle as she was trying to get away. Explain to me how that's self-defense.
She had a vehicle, okay?
What?
That's not what okay, so let me, Terry, what Brian is saying is, if you're standing on the side of the vehicle and you shoot through the driver's window, are you in danger? Yes or no?
You're damn right you are.
All right.
If you're standing on the side of the vehicle?
This guy is not talking slow. He is slow. He's a very stupid person. Go back into your mobile home, sir, and I'm sure you're on all the government programs that the person who you voted for is trying to take away from you.
But these are the people that Trump is speaking to.
God.
When he sends out those posts and he tries to justify this is the people, and that 31% MAGA is going to stick with him, with Trump, no matter what he does.
We know this
they don't
for
care.
sure. This is not an opinion. At least 2 out of the 3 shots were shot through the driver's side window on the side of the
saying,
vehicle.
Brian, is are they necessary? That's what you're asking.
Of course they weren't.
Were they necessary?
Of course they weren't.
If the vehicle's already by him and he's standing on the side, what your question is, so really it's only the first shot that's under question. Is that correct?
These people are so sick. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Chris. Chris is next up on PTL. Hello, Chris. Chris, there's a little bit of a delay. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, my apologies. Hey, I got a really quick question here. Maybe Leonard can help me with this. Do these ICE agents even have the jurisdiction to attempt to open a door, or do they legally have to call the police to stop this woman?
Well, what they've been told is that if anybody interferes with them, that's domestic terrorism, that if anybody protests, which, as you know, under the First Amendment, if you want to park your vehicle in protest in the middle of the street, under the First Amendment, you can. Now, it's a misdemeanor, but they have a lot of power, and they have a lot of, now, as you know, they have gassed people. They've shot a priest in the head with rubber bullets and gas bullets, and it's gone to court. And, depending on which federal judge you get, some have said it's too much excessive force, and some judges have said
Can I just add,
they can go ahead and use that kind of force if they need to.
Can I just add something? And now I'm going to specifically talk about the second and third shots that were through the side window when the officer was on the side of the vehicle. The only way those shots could be justified in that specific situation, correct me if I'm wrong, would be if that driver had a gun and was or a knife or a weapon and was pointing it at the officer. That would be the only way that could be justified. Or if somebody else in the vehicle might have been doing that. That's not the case here. To me, this is so cut and dry. And these second and third shots are clear
you
evidence.
Think he got tunnel vision? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
you
there's
think
no,
the officer
there's no question.
Just stressed out.
Yeah,
and
there's
kept firing.
I mean, based on what I see, I don't know if that makes sense to the caller, but yeah, that's what I see.
Okay. I'm just curious about that. I've called in quite a few times, so I can let other people talk.
Yes, they are authorized to use force. Yes.
Thank you, caller. I appreciate it. Good question. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. We just had Chris on, right? So let's go to Paul. Paul is next on PTL. Hello, Paul.
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
Hey, good. What's on your mind?
I'm sick of all this going on in America. This is not the same country I grew up in the 60s. It really isn't. And I saw that video for the first time a few minutes ago, and I don't know where these people are coming from. Christy Mann and such. There was plenty of space between the car and the officers. They were in no danger of being hit at all. But, that's the lies we get. Here's the problem. Like you were talking to these MAGA people, they're not going to believe anything that's factual. For instance, this is one thing. Sean Duffy came out last week and put on Facebook that he secured $1.5 billion for infrastructure for transportation department. He and Trump took credit for it. Well, guess what? It wasn't their credit.
I want to share some news with you, caller, and to all the listeners and to Leonard out there. The Minnesota Star Tribune is reporting that the 37-year-old woman who has, in my opinion, been killed is Renee Nicole Good. So the mother has already made a few statements. Her mother has already made a few statements to the Minnesota Star Tribune.
Mom.
First of all, the mother, who I can't even imagine the grief that she's going through, has said her daughter is not a part of anything like that at all, referring to the protesters that were challenging ICE agents. So this is very interesting. The mother is now saying that her daughter wasn't even a part of that. If that's the case, that certainly turns things.
Well, I was wondering because there was another vehicle next to her, right, Brian? And was she trying to turn around? Was she trying to avoid? Because there's another vehicle stopped to her right, and maybe she was just trying to get around that vehicle.
Now,
that's possible.
Yeah. So there is video that sharing online capturing a witness speaking to a woman who claims she was her wife, and they had a 6-year-old child. She's yelling out, there's video apparently that says, "That's my wife. I don't know what to do." The man filming the video asked if she was with the woman who was killed and if she had any friends who could help. "That's my wife. I have a 6-year-old at school. We're new here. We don't have anyone." The frantic woman could also be heard screaming, "We need a doctor." So apparently this woman has a wife and a 6-year-old. And from what we're learning from this video and what we are learning from statements that the mother has made, that they weren't even there to cause any problems.
When you see the video, Brian, and I know what you're going to say, but it needs to be said. When you see the video, are you shocked at the woman's conduct? Like, oh my God, how can she do that? That was so dangerous. You know, the police are going to shoot. Did you think her conduct was so dangerous and shocking that it should have initiated a use of deadly force?
No, I'm getting more angry by the minute when I hear about this, and the fact that she had a 6-year-old and now her mother is speaking. It just
in the police world, whenever we hear, because we hear about every shooting when we're
Yeah.
employed and who got in a shooting, whenever we hear it's a vehicle, immediately that's
Yeah.
kind of a red flag. Like, is this going to be an okay? You know what I'm saying? And in my world, we immediately know when somebody shoots into a vehicle that this is probably going to be a hard one to figure out, because how do you justify shooting into a vehicle when you could easily get out of the way? He could have easily stepped to the right.
By the way, there are also
and maybe
pictures,
I'm wrong, but
there are also pictures though that are on social media of the person who pulled the trigger. And I'm getting more and more upset by the moment when I see, and now I'm looking at pictures. I think we're looking at a picture of the car and all the blood that is in the car. It's obviously very graphic, and the airbag clearly is deployed. It looks like there's nobody. It looks like there's nobody else in the vehicle from what I can see. This is just awful. This is a terrible story. And as every minute, Leonard, that goes by, I'm getting visibly more and more upset.
And I laughed at some things the caller said, but understand that that's stress. That's like trying to, maybe see the humor in a stupid caller who's trying to justify something that looks like it maybe was not justified. But there is nothing to laugh about today. There's nothing to joke about. This is very serious. And a woman lost her life. And back, like the one gentleman said, back in the 60s or 70s, you know what would happen? The officer would be on administrative leave pending an investigation. They wouldn't say anything about it. They would tape off the crime scene. From what I understand from the news reporting on CNN, they said the woman was immediately removed from the vehicle by the police. Do you think the ICE agents were justified in removing the woman from the vehicle? How can you do a proper investigation if you're pulling the body out
and
of the vehicle?
I'm watching right now, if we can keep it on the video.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. I'm watching right now a video that somebody made, and standing right next to this individual is apparently this woman's wife. And she's screaming out, "I'm here for you. I'm here for you," and saying, "That's my wife." It's terrible. It's heartbreaking. It's terrible to watch. There's more and more information.
That woman will never be the same.
Oh, this is just terrible. This is just such an awful story. I said this months ago. I told you this was going to happen. I said this on the air. So did you. People are going to get killed. It could be ICE agents. It could be innocent people on the streets. Innocent people are going to die because of what Donald Trump is doing in deploying all these agents all over the country. I'm sick of it. When is it going to end? Now it's going to get worse there. He just deployed 2,000 of these people.
What's going to happen in the next few days? What's going to happen in the next few weeks? Because when you have a small army of law enforcement that's basically told they can use whatever force they want, and then you see that on TV, and before it's even investigated, I don't mind after the investigation somebody saying, well, as it turns out, it was justified. But within the next few minutes, going on social media, going on the news, Kristi Noem saying nothing to see here, and we're glad that our officer's okay, and he was defending himself and defending his life. I don't know. I'm not taking a position on
Well,
this,
I can tell you what's going to happen, Leonard.
It doesn't look good.
Leonard, I'm going to tell you now what these bastards on the right are going to do. It appears as though this woman was gay.
Oh, my God.
So they are going to start, I guarantee you, they're going to start attacking the LGBT. These people are so despicable. That's what they're going to do. I got to squeeze in a few more quick calls here. Let's go to Ricky. Ricky's next. Hey, Ricky, what's up? Hi, Ricky. Go ahead.
Might have to turn down his radio.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, I got a quick question. I'm going to be the quickest caller you ever had. I watch your show all the time, and I'm amazed by these Trump supporters. Instead of just telling it like it is, how they really feel, they sit up and say, well, we like his policies. We like his policies. And he don't have any policies. Why don't they just say, we racist, we don't like brown or black people. We just don't like them.
Well, let me ask you something. You think this 2,000 ICE agents that have been dispatched in Minnesota is about racism, is about the Somalia race?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Why say that? I say that because that's just this is
and because there's no legitimate reason to do it, right?
It's not a legitimate reason to do it.
So what must it be?
It's not. It's just racism, man. That's all it is.
Well, we're going to watch tonight, and Brian and I are totally support peaceful protests. We support the First Amendment. What we don't condone is any sort of violence from either side, from any side. So hopefully that will not happen.
Let's get to some other callers real quick. Let's try to squeeze in a few more. We have Ray, who's next up on PTL. Hi, Ray.
Hello.
Hi.
Can I write it down? Definitely murder, in my opinion. And I want to get to that COVID thing. The guys don't believe it was bad. I had a triple bypass, and then I got COVID a month later.
Yeah, we know how serious. I almost died of COVID, so definitely I agree with you, sir. We definitely don't want to get.
Yeah, I didn't mean to change the subject. I was just using that as an example.
Yeah. So Ray, obviously, I'm with you 150% on that one. We're running out of time. I think we have enough. Do we have enough time to take any more calls? I think we're out of time. All right. So here's what we will say. If you could just keep it up there on that one, that'd be great. Okay. So here's the latest information. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara on the ICE shooting into the vehicle. Says that it's very concerning. It's something that most law enforcement agencies in the country train very intensely to try to minimize. We have the mayor there who said she was not using her vehicle to try to harm anyone. We know that there were at least 3 shots that were fired into the vehicle. What's even more troubling is that 2 of those shots were inside through the window of the driver car, the driver's side of the car. We know that this is a woman who had at least one son, I believe, a 5-year-old. Tim Walz has also made statements about this. He's visibly very angry. I would imagine all this is going on. We have Donald Trump and Kristi Noem minutes after the shooting claiming that they were trying to help. It's just absolutely despicable and disgusting, and it's terrible. Here's a we don't have a lot of time, but here's a brief statement on Tim Walz talking about this shooting just moments ago.
Will not turn against each other. To Minnesotans, I say this: I feel your anger. I'm angry. They want a show. We can't give it to them. We cannot. If you protest and express your First Amendment rights, please do so peacefully, as you always do. We can't give them what they want. The hearts and minds of the people in this state are on our side. To Americans, I ask you this: please stand with Minneapolis.
So we only have a minute here. My thoughts go out. This is horrible. It's a terrible situation. Doesn't happen if Donald Trump isn't reelected. Let's remember that.
We hope that things get better.
Yeah, we really do. Of course, I was going to be going over the Caroline Leavitt press conference this morning, which was crazy in itself.
This was too important. We did the right thing.
But yeah, Pam Hemphill is going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. Pam spoke in front of representatives yesterday on January 6th, apologizing to Capitol police officers and some very emotional testimony. So we'll definitely get to her yesterday, and everyone be safe out there. I so appreciate all of you, particularly those of you who called in who have a heart, and people in Minnesota. It's nice to know that there's a lot of people in Minnesota that listen to this show. And I appreciate all of you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, Leonard. I always appreciate you being here. And I wish we didn't have to, but with your expertise, it's very important that you were here to talk about your expertise and your training. Do you think last question, do you think he's going to be charged with a crime?
Now or under a new regime?
Anytime. Do you think he'll ever be charged?
I think that I don't even think he'll be charged with a crime. That would be my guess. They'll say they did an investigation. They may even have a congressional hearing.
Yeah.
And they'll show up and say that it was completely justified. However, if Trump does leave in 2028, I think a lot of these uses of force may be investigated, and that's when the people have to be worried.
Unfortunately, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be charged either. Well, we'll wait and see how this plays out. Leonard, I appreciate you being here as always.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Leonard. Always. We'll see you guys tomorrow, everybody. Have a good day.
You too.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch.